Hello, Dark Reader, and welcome to the Dark Side of the Library podcast. I'm your host, Katie, and with me is my lovely co-host, Carrie. Today, we will be doing a bunch of non-fiction releases coming out in December 2022. We have about 12, so that's a pretty solid amount for non-fiction. I'm pretty excited. A lot of mixed stuff. Not as many cookbooks I've noticed, probably because the holidays are already here. So people have gotten people have already gotten their fun, cool cookbooks. So I am starting off today with an art book real fast. It is The Art of Dracula of Transylvania. This comes out December 27th. That's perfect because once you get your money, your Yule money, then you can buy this cool book. It is by Richard Delgado, and I think we bought earlier this year or maybe late last year his Dracula book, and that cover is fantastic. I highly recommend checking out this book on Amazon. You can find all of our Amazon listings, by the way, in our show notes at darksideofthelibrary.com. So yeah, definitely join me and check out this cover. It's gorgeous. But Richard Delgado is a master storyteller. He's done graphic novels like The Age of Reptiles. He has a very distinct style, for sure, and Dracula is perfect for his style. Everything looks really monstrous and creepy. So let's see. He's also done work for Avatar: The Last Airbender, The Incredibles, Men in Black, WALL-E, lots of different storyboards and character designs. So you get to see in this book an entirely illustrated novel of Dracula and 20 stunning pages of concepts and designs. This is really, really, really cool. It is kind of pricey. It's about $64 right now. Hopefully it goes down. It is 200 pages. It's full of art. It's beautiful. It is The Art of Dracula of Transylvania by Richard Delgado. What is your first book of today?
Well, I first wanted to say, if you guys hear me slurping or eating, it's a snowy day and it's really cold and I am wearing pajamas because the life of a podcaster is awesome. You can do that. I'm drinking tons of hot tea and I'm eating hot maple sugar oatmeal.
Ooh, I love my life. Oh, that sounds amazing.
My next book is Earth Witch, Finding Magick in the Land by Britton Boyd. It comes out December 15. Animist, witch, and herbalist Britton Boyd invites you to seek out the deep and mysterious connections with the earth that lie at the ancestral roots of witchcraft. She describes the path of the earth witch not as a linear journey of upward growth, but rather as a cyclical one that ebbs and flows with the forces of nature that reflect the world around us. This is a path utterly different from the spiritual materialism that's crept into the witchcraft often found in today's capitalist culture.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I love it.
She draws on her own experience hiking the entirety of the Pacific Crest Trail. It's a 2,660-mile trek that stretches from Mexico to the Canadian border. She reminds readers that witchcraft has always been based in the energy of the land, true, and that you can find all you need to practice this magic right beneath your feet. So this book provides those who are new to witchcraft with foundational practices on which to build an organic spirituality rooted in the natural world, and she challenges seasoned witches to renew the ancient relationship with the earth that lies at the heart of their craft. The book is packed with stories, spells, and rituals, and she encourages all of us to live in service to the planet we call home. Aww. It's by Hierophant Publishing, comes out December 15. It's Earth Witch, Finding Magick in the Land by Britton Boyd.
I love that.
I do too.
That's good.
Too many people buy their witchcraft. They're buying crystals and they're buying amulets and they're buying incense. And I was guilty of all of that when I started out too. You can't buy your spirituality.
Yeah, yeah, and it's pretty rife right now, is the buying the spirituality and the self-love and all that. It's still consumerism deep down.
But I love shopping, so I get it.
I know, I do too. And crystals are so pretty. I get it. They're so evil.
And most of us can't just walk out there and find a crystal.
I know, it's true. Thank you, crystal finders. I know. Ugh. All right, so my next book is a little creepier. It is called Haunt, Screenplay and Filmmaker Diaries. It comes out December 6th. This is by Scott Beck and Bryan Woods. A Quiet Place writers Scott Beck and Bryan Woods offer a first-hand look at the life of a filmmaker and the brutal ups and downs that come with it. Ooh. While writing and directing their feature, Haunt, the authors kept in-depth journals charting their experience making the independent film, all while another script of theirs, A Quiet Place, was being produced by Paramount Pictures with Emily Blunt and John Krasinski. As the resulting film became a global sensation, the authors and directors and writers documented their journey through the wild landscape of failure, rejection, momentary success, rubbing elbows with cinematic heroes, and weathering the absurdity of Hollywood. Interesting.
Yeah.
Also featured in this novel is never before released screenplay for a thing called Haunt, and it's got I hate this, it's got a creepy clown on here. Of course it's a clown. It's fine. It's super freaky, so now I'm like, I'd probably watch it because it would scare me. It also contains an interview with the filmmakers conducted by author and screenwriting professor Scott Myers. This sounds really interesting. It'd be cool to see, I guess, the side-by-side between actually making a movie and the screenplay, etc., and just the life of Hollywood and all of that stuff, especially in the horror industry.
Yeah.
So check out Haunt. It's the screenplay and filmmaker Diaries. This is by Scott Beck and Bryan Woods.
Now, brace yourself, because with my next book, as I start describing it, you're probably going to get kind of angry.
Uh-oh. Oh, no.
It's The Last Witch Craze, John Aubrey, The Royal Society, and the Witches. It's by Tony McAleavy. Comes out December 15th from Amberley, which is a history publisher in the UK. It's a fascinating account of man of letters John Aubrey's investigation into the witch craze in 17th century England and the remarkable witch trials. So the 17th century writer John Aubrey had a dark secret. And here on this podcast, we're all about books with dark secrets. So publicly, he was a respectable figure and a leading member of the Royal Society. It was the pioneering body that promoted experimental science. So far, so good. But in private, Aubrey was an active wizard who used black magic rituals to summon demons to try to harness their power.
Oh my God.
Tony McAleavy has uncovered Aubrey's secret manual of spells, hidden away for centuries in the Bodleian Library in Oxford. It contains many charms intended for use in sex magic. His spells were intended to force women against their wishes to have sex. Oh, hell no.
Whoa. Wow.
So this important new study shines a light on a sinister and previously unknown aspect of Aubrey's life and puts it into the wider context of scientific thinking in Restoration Britain. Besides Aubrey, some other members of the Royal Society also believed in the authenticity of witchcraft. They included Robert Boyle, the greatest scientist of his generation. In 1658, he created a sensation when he endorsed a book intended to prove the truth of witchcraft. So several influential members of the Royal Society were trying to reconcile belief in witchcraft with the latest findings from scientific research. I get you.
Sure.
But unfortunately, all of the men that wrote books at the time provided a rationale for the last lethal witch craze in England, Scotland, and America. Their works were read avidly in Massachusetts by those responsible for the infamous Salem witch trials of 1692. Aubrey was guilty of a terrible double standard. He had no apparent qualms about the judicial killing of poor women for witchcraft, while he secretly practiced black magic himself. Ah!
Wow. Oh my God.
That is The Last Witch Craze by Tony McAleavy. Oh, I might be too angry to read it.
Holy cow. Yeah, wow. I don't think I could read. That makes me really angry. Of course it's like that, though. It always is. Somebody who's like, oh, stop doing it. But then they do it too. Hypocrites. All right, my next book, something a little more refreshing. The Little Book of Edgar Allan Poe. Wit and Wisdom from the Master of Macabre. This comes out December 6th. This is published by Orange Hippo. So he is the original master of macabre and dark romantic writer of Gothic novels, detective stories, poetry, short stories, and satires. is synonymous with themes of premature burial, death, madness, and mysticism. His life was intriguing, and his early death at 40 was appropriately mysterious, dying in delirium, possibly opium, alcohol, rabies, or syphilis induced.
Or all of the above. I mean, it's Edgar Allan. You know, love him.
Yeah. In someone else's clothes on the streets of Baltimore. Wow.
Well, was it women's clothing? That would be interesting detail.
Right? And that would be that might be a Poe thing. One of the most recognizable and widely referenced literary figures outside of the enormous popularity of his literature, Poe also became a compelling popular cultural figure, especially for literary, horror, and sci-fi fans. So this book is made up of fascinating, poignant, witty, and occasionally disturbing quotes from across the breadth of Poe's works, as well as comments from his contemporaries. There's letters and interesting facts about the man's life and works. So let me look inside just to get a little bit more about this. This might just be a little bit of a book of Poe. So we have chapter 1 being Dreams of Madness and Dreams and Madness. Chapter 2 is Love and Beauty. 3 is Life and Death, Master of Macabre, Poetry and Prose, etc. So yeah, this is just a little book with quotes about Poe or from Poe, bits and pieces about his life. It's cute. There's even drawings and art throughout this book. So this is about 192 pages of awesome Poe stuff. This is The Little Book of Edgar Allan Poe. This is by Orange Hippo.
My next book is The Myth of Harm, Horror, Censorship, and the Child. It is a scholarly book from Bloomsbury Academic. The author is Sarah Cleary, and so it's $120 on Amazon. Yikes.
Oh my God, wow.
This would be a great book to check out from the library.
Yes.
So it says the horror genre has endured a long and controversial success within popular culture. It's been fraught with accusations pertaining to its alleged ability to harm and corrupt young people and society as a whole. The genre is constantly under pressure to suppress that which has made it so popular to begin with, its ability to frighten and generate discussion about society's darker side. So the Myth of Harm draws upon cases such as the Slender Man stabbing and the James Bulger murder, amongst many others, in order to explore the manner in which horror has been repeatedly cast as a harmful influence upon children at the expense of scrutinizing other more complex social issues. They focus on 5 major controversies beginning in the 1930s golden age of horror cinema and end on a more contemporary note with cyber-gothic horror. The book identifies and considers the various myths and falsehoods surrounding the genre of horror and questions the very motivation behind the proliferation of these myths as scapegoats for political and social issues, platforms for moral entrepreneurs, and tools of hyperbole for the news industry. Let's check out the table of contents if they'll let me see. Yes. The Myth of Harm, an introduction, Golden Age of Hollywood horror, Golden Age of Hollywood Gothic eugenics, the myth of movie-made children, the production code, the British ban on horror films. Then chapter 2 is about the horror comics controversy, comic books as Gothic texts, formation of the comic code from crime to horror, home is where the heartache is, seducing the innocent, horror comic communism. And then the 3rd chapter is the video nasty controversy in the UK. Chapter 4, Gothic video games and murder simulators. Yikes. The 1993 congressional hearings. And then 5 is the Slender Man stabbing case study. So this is an academic book by Sarah Cleary, The Myth of Harm, Horror, Censorship, and the Child. It comes out December 29.
Oh, wow. That's very interesting. Holy cow. Well, my next book is a art book. It's the NieR art book. It's Koda Kazuma works. So he's the author, but also it's his work, and he's the main concept artist for this video game. So NieR is a really interesting game. My husband and I have yet to play it. It is on our TBR. Well, actually TBP, I guess, to be played. We like to sit down and play video games together. But it's a single player, kind of a hack and slash. Maybe you could call it a JRPG game, but you hack and slash a bunch of monsters. But the concept art is absolutely stunning. the sketches, the places, they have a bit of this gothic overtone to it. It's not, you couldn't call it a horror game though. It's not spooky necessarily, but it is a really interesting game. And lots of people love this game. It's definitely developing a cult. It's becoming more of a cult classic kind of game. So check this out if you are into NieR, or if you know somebody who is. This comes out December 13th. So if you do know somebody, it would make a great gift pre-Christmas. So this is NieR Art. This is by Koda Kazuma.
My next book is called Shannon, Taggart, Seance. Comes out December 20. Shannon Taggart is the photographer, and Dan Aykroyd, of all people, wrote the foreword. Wow.
Whoa.
So it's apparently a reprint because it was named one of Time Magazine's best photo books of 2019. It's a portrait of spiritualist communities across the US and Europe. It's now been redesigned with archival images extra. So American photographer Shannon Taggart has a fascination with spiritualism, which is the belief in deceased individuals' ability to communicate with the living. During her adolescence, a medium revealed additional information about the circumstances of Taggart's grandfather's death, and a decade later, Taggart was a practicing photojournalist, found herself obsessively drawn to Lilydale, New York, the world's largest spiritualist community. So she has been documenting the communities throughout the world in search of ectoplasm, an emanation exercised from the body of the medium, believed to be both spiritual and material. Wow. So it's by Atelier Editions. They gave us a few pictures. We can look inside. I see a bent spoon. Ooh. I see a yellow canary, a handkerchief that someone's holding, a burned up cable cord. I don't actually see any people's faces.
Weird.
I see someone cradling a small newly born animal, and I see a picture of the spiritualist medium, Madame Blavatsky. Oh, there are some pictures of people, and they are creepy. There's supposedly ectoplasm coming out of their noses. I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
That is Shannon Taggart Seance, and be sure to click on the affiliate link in our show notes or on YouTube so you can go see the aforementioned ectoplasm photos.
Yes.
That's Shannon Taggart Seance.
Now I'm curious. I want to see ectoplasm coming out of people's noses. All right. So, of course, I would be talking about this next book called Victorian Murderesses. This comes out December 15th. This is by Debbie Blake. The Victorian belief that women were the, quote, weaker sex, who were expected to devote themselves entirely to family life, made it almost inconceivable that they could ever be capable of committing murder. What drove a woman to murder her husband, lover, or even her own child? Were they tragic, mad, or just plain evil? So, using various sources, including court records, newspaper accounts, and letters, this book explores some of the most notorious murder cases committed by 7 women in 19th century Britain and America.
I'm kind of rooting for them. I'm sorry.
A little.
I'm kind of cheering them on.
Yeah, so, some of them, sure. There are some that are real weird, like Kate Webster's strange. Anyway, and Jane Toppin, I think. Yeah, she's weird too. Okay, so this delves into each of the 7 women's lives, the circumstances that led to their crimes, their committal and trial, and the various reasons why they resorted to murder. The fear of destitution led Mary Ann Brow to murder her own children. Desperation to keep her job drove Sarah Drake to her crime. Money was the motive in the case of Mary Ann Cotton, who is believed to have poisoned as many as 21 people. Kate Bender lured her unsuspecting victims to their death in the slaughter pen before stripping them of their valuables. Kate Webster's temper got the better of her when she brutally murdered and decapitated her employer.
Oops.
Jeez. Wow. Nurse Jane Toppin admitted she derived sexual pleasure from watching her victims die slowly, and, of course, our notorious Lizzie Borden was suspected of murdering her father and stepmother with an axe. so that she could live on in the affluent area known as, quote, The Hill in Fall River, Massachusetts. So, if you ever wanted to know about any of these ladies, check out Victorian Murderesses by Debbie Blake.
Wow, that sounds awesome.
Right?
My final book today is Visions of the Occult, an Untold Story of Art and Magic by Victoria Jenkins from Tate Publishing. It's actually been pushed to January 10, 2023 since we did the research. Oh, well. So it's the first major survey of the occult collection of artworks and objects in the Tate Archive. And the Tate is a family of 4 art galleries in London, Liverpool, and Cornwall, known as the Tate Modern, Tate Britton, Tate Liverpool, and Tate St. Ives. So the word occult comes from the Latin oculus, meaning hidden. It's a lavishly illustrated magical volume that connects the 2 worlds of Tate, the seen public collection and the unseen secrets lurking in the archive.
Whoa.
The pages of this book explore the hidden artworks and ephemera left behind by artists for the first time, and it will shed new light on our understanding of the art history canon. Expect to find the unexpected with artists such as John Nash, Barbara Hepworth, David Mayer, Max Armfield. I haven't heard of any of these. Cecil Collins, Jill Smith, and Bruce Lacey. Okay, Francis Bacon I've heard of. William Blake I've heard of. Leonora Carrington I've heard of. Hamish Fulton, Joe Tilson, Henry Moore. For the first time, the clandestine magical works of the Tate Archive are revealed, with archivist Victoria Jenkins acting as the depositary of its secrets. The book explores the symbiotic relationship between art and the occult and how both can act as a form of resistance to challenging environments.
Interesting. Wow.
It'll illuminate the breadth and extraordinary ways in which artists interpret not just the physical world around them, but also the supernatural. And in doing so, they make the unseen seen. If you think you know Tate artists, it's time to think again. Oh, I'm so intrigued.
Yeah.
They give us 7 preview images that you can see if you click through our show notes affiliate link to go onto the Amazon page. There's nothing jumping off the page screaming scary. No, I take it back. The Princess of the Echoing Hills, the Rose of the Palace of Earth is a frightening image. I don't know what it means. That is my final book for today.
Oh boy, well, my final book of today is The Witch's Complete Guide to Crystals, a spiritual guide to connecting to crystal energy. And I really wish, I think we were talking about this on this podcast episode and consumerism, especially with crystals. So I really wish, and I try not to buy as many crystals because I know I love them so much when I look at them. I'm like a little crow, but I don't know a whole lot about it. I have a lot of friends who can name me off all of the different crystals and their magical properties, and I think that's killer. And I always bring them with me because I'm like, I need something to open my heart chakra. But if you are curious, like me, about crystal magic and energy, and you want to collect all of the Witch's Guide, this is volume 4, check this one out. It has descriptions of individual crystals and their purposes. You can do crystal spells, crystal tools, so cleansing energy, etc. This book helps you build crystal altars and crystal grids for manifesting intentions. I don't think I've actually seen a crystal grid before, so that's cool.
No, I haven't either. Now I want to Google it.
Yeah, this book teaches you how to use the energy of moon phases and the wheel of the year to enhance and amplify crystal spell work. There's different ways to use crystals for everyday rituals in your sacred space. It's really cool. So this is about 168 pages. This is the Witch's Complete Guide to Crystals. This is volume 4. I'm wondering how many volumes they're going to do, but if you want a complete guide of different witchy stuff, including tarot cards, etc., check these out. This is really awesome. This is by Sarah Hadley.
That is it for our December 2022 dark nonfiction here at Dark Side of the Library. Be sure to follow us on your favorite social platform, as long as it's not TikTok. We are on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at Dark Side of the Library. We also have an Amazon Live channel, amazon.com/live/Dark Side of the Library, where you can occasionally see us on camera hawking material items. Oops. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next podcast, which will be about kids and YA dark books.